Now, the Senate may follow the House today and refuel the auto rebate plan known as Cash for Clunkers. Christine, this thing is working, and it's working well. It might be working too well, but if the Senate doesn't follow suit, is this plan or is this whole program about to go away?
If the Senate does not approve, TJ, another $2 billion, yeah, the White House says this thing will be done by the middle of the week, and it has been much more popular than a lot of people thought. You know, when they were first putting the stimulus together, they thought about $4 billion for Cash for Clunkers. It got whittled down to $1, and that $1 billion in Cash for Clunkers was eaten up in just really a few days. The auto industry telling us, frankly, that they had, in the last week of July, more sales of cars because of this than for the whole rest of the month of July. So more in 1 week, 4 or 5 days, than for the whole other month, the rest of the month of July. And this is why, because some people are able to go and get a car, buy a new car, trade in their old one, and get more for it than it's even worth. Listen.
I traded in a car. I got $4,500 for a car I paid $4,000 for 4 years ago. It had 220,000 miles on, so I think I made a great deal.
So here's how we know the stimulus is working. Ford is saying it's had the first increase in car sales in 2 years. I told you about all of those sales in the end of July. People are thinking that the beginning of August is going to have an awful lot of car sales, too. They'd like to see this keep going. The criticism, though, TJ, from some people is you shouldn't have the government running the used car business. You'll hear about this, I'm sure, this afternoon in some of this debate from people around the Senate, maybe people who don't want to vote for this. And also some people say the point of stimulus is not to cram 3 or 4 months of car demand into just a few weeks, but it's to generate new demand from somewhere. Some people are saying this isn't necessarily new demand. It's just people who've been on the sidelines waiting, and then now they're going to sell their car. Whatever the reason, it is really boosting car sales.
You know, what a deal. He paid $4 grand for a car
Yeah.
and got $4,500 for it.
Yep.
That's a pretty good deal.
And 220,000 miles. I think God love you for driving your car that far, right? But the point is to get those big gas guzzlers, those not very efficient cars off the roads. Get them off the roads, and then that goes a little ways to our energy dependence issues, and also it's just better for the environment. That's at least the goal of this whole thing.
Well, it is working so far so good, and maybe too well. Christine, thank you. We're talking about that guy's car there, his that he traded in, and all those others. What exactly happens to the ones that are left behind at the dealership? Well, we'll turn to CNNMoney.com's Poppy Harlow now. She has a breakdown for us from New York. That's a lot of cars apparently people are turning in, and we got to do something with them. Where are they going?
Yeah, I mean, Christine made a great point. This isn't just sort of an economic stimulus plan of sorts. It's also a plan to get the worst polluting cars off the road. So here's what happens. The dealers that take your trade-in, they are forced to get rid of those gas guzzlers. They literally, TJ, have to destroy the engines. We visited a Nissan dealer right here in New York. They killed this 1996 Plymouth Voyager minivan. What they're doing there, they drain the oil, then they pour that mixture of water and sodium silicate, also known as liquid glass, if you've never heard of it, into the engine. You rev up the car. The solution hardens, and in about 7 minutes, you can never drive that car again. So these clunkers will never be back on the road, and that's the goal. And that Voyager you saw, it's actually the first one that service manager at the dealership had ever killed. Take a listen to what he said.
As a service manager, you never want to see them junk their old cars. You'd rather see them fix them. Right. But as the sales end of it goes, it's going to be a huge success, and I can't wait to do another 100 of them.
Yeah, he can't wait because they get to trade him in and buy new cars, and that helps the dealership. Of course, an incredibly popular program, about $1 billion in funding, TJ, as we all know now, about exhausted in just about a week of the program.
All right, you're talking about that liquid glass there, I think you call it. They pour into the engine. That's the first thing they have to do. Have to kill the engine, then what?
Then they take it to a scrap yard, and first the doors, the hood, anything you can use is stripped out. But, of course, the engine can't be stripped out. Then it's crushed, as you see right there. But some auto recyclers, they don't like this because the engine, TJ, is the most valuable part for them. About 60% of their sales for these recycled auto parts are generally the engines. But they can still sell the hood and the doors, anything else they strip from these clunkers. And I asked people on Facebook, what do they think? Are you trading in a clunker? What do you think of the program? And I want to bring you a comment here from Howard. He wrote in, I thought it was good. He said, listen, this is a win-win situation. He said they should do it again in 5 years when the electric cars become more prevalent. So we'll see. It's working for now. That's for sure, TJ.
It's working now. All right, Poppy Harlow for us today. Thank you so much. Sure. And the Cash for Clunkers.